G'day everyone, welcome back to Frostbite's GI Joe Repro. Thought I'd have a little bit of fun today. It is quite fun to pick your top 10, top 5. But just having a bit of a funny look to things. I just felt like it was time to give something a bit of a funny name. And that's why I sort of went with the top 15 moist operators. No, I'm not talking about certain genders of GI Joe or Cobra. I'm talking about the operators that are operating in the wet, the damp, the moist. So we're looking at divers today. I just I hadn't really thought about who the best was out of all the divers. So I thought, why not sit down with you and let's go through this list. So we're going to look at 15. The areas that we're sort of looking at with this, I'm not going into this too far. Just looking at how cool are the figures, the capabilities of the actual operator, um, and probably the most important, like the least involved in the moist to the most involved in the wet. Like, let's have a bit of fun with this. And yeah, let's crack in. So, just as a start, I wanted to chuck out a couple of honorable mentions here. You can see first up, we're looking at Keel Hall. So, Keel Hall was a 1985 figure, rank of Admiral. When we talk about the moistness of the wet, how far he's going in, I can let you know right now, even though this guy is in charge of an aircraft carrier, I can, pretty safely assure you that this guy is not seeing too much water action. I know this sounds like a funny thing, but the officer in charge of this ship, I'm pretty sure he'd be probably pretty commonly found in either in the command area or in his quarters or the officer's mess. Um, so, in terms of coolness, looking at a couple of these pictures of him, I actually thought he had a bit of a Tom Selleck look to him, bit of a Magnum PI look. And he does. He certainly doesn't look like any high-ranking Navy officer that I've ever seen before. Loving the chest hair exposure shots there. So the figure itself, that was a bit of a weird thing. Great mold on the figure. I thought it was really cool mold. Um, but I sort of saw two things that stuck out for me. One that was he came with a silver handgun, but apparently it was only for some of the releases of him. Other releases of the V1 didn't have it apparently, and I thought that was really odd. There was no sort of standardizing amongst just one figure and one variant. And the other thing that sort of stood out for me is when we talk about rareness of figures, collectability of figures, coolness of figures, I feel that all of those things for this guy are based on the pure fact that he came with the USS flag. So rareness for him is pretty high. Um, so, like, I don't have this guy in my collection. I haven't been chasing him, but you don't see him pop up very often. So I thought, that is a very cool thing about him is he's just got that collectability of, to get this guy, I'm pretty sure you had to buy a flag. So, yeah, that's Keel Hall. Next up, we've got Cutter. He's another honourable mention for me. So he came with the whale, and therefore, he's probably seeing a lot more water action than what Keel Hall is. But I still think he's not seeing, as much as some of the 15 operators that we're going to be chatting about today. Um, as far as his mold goes, I think the mold of the figure is it's actually really quite nice. I don't have this guy in my collection either. This is sounding really bad. There's a bit of a pattern emerging. Um, but yeah, the mold on this guy, it's just got the really nice buoyancy part of his chest there. Yeah, just Just was really quite impressed with it. I actually have V2 of this guy in my collection, complete, and he is a nice figure for a rando guy with, I believe, he's got a paddle attached to his leg. Um, yeah, he is quite a nice figure. But yeah, I just thought I'd chuck him in as an honourable mention. He is nice, but yeah, he's not one of our moist operators today. Now, the other honourable mention I wanted to include today was actually Decimator. Um, I've got to admit, I didn't even know about this guy up until about a couple of weeks ago. Um, until I did a video, members video, on a lot that I got that had some Joe weapons in it. And I was going through the weapons, and I found a couple that I thought were core weapons or accessories, and that I'm not really the fan of core stuff. And I picked one piece up, and I said, "Yeah, I've never seen this before. Probably a core thing, but I'll check it out later." And then Campbell Rule from Kiwi Customs actually contacted me and said, "No, bro." And that's how he spoke, even though I was reading it. "No, bro, it's not. It's from Decimator." And he showed me a couple of pictures, and yeah, sure as shit, it was Decimator's weapon. Never actually ever seen this figure before in pictures or real life. But I probably will be trying to track one of these down now. Um, so Decimator is the driver of the Hammerhead. And if you're sitting there scratching your head going, what is a Hammerhead? That was me doing this video. I knew about Decimator only because Campbell had bought it up for me. And then I had a look at the Hammerhead, and wow, what a vehicle. Do yourself a favor, get onto Google and Google GI Joe Hammerhead. That thing is both in my opinion, a bit of a shit fight and a bit of a cool vehicle at the same time. Think the Bug, like the Bug and the Hammerhead, to me, even though they look different, they to me are the same concept. Just this sort of rolling shit fight on wheels, with multiple components. Now I know you're sitting there right now and you're like, "Hey man, the Bug's a cool vehicle." It is a cool vehicle, but weird stuff. So yeah, it's all good. But yeah, I wanted to chuck out an honorable mention for this guy. Now, the cool thing about this guy, not the vehicle, not the Hammerhead, but it's the story that they gave him. So they're saying that because he does, has to do sweeps of the beaches and the dunes and the areas of Cobra Island, this guy just has to have the best vision. So what did they do? They gave him a mask. You can see it in the pictures there. And apparently that mask gives him a 180-degree view of his surroundings. And they even go to mention that, old mate doesn't even have to turn around to fire something to his side. He can just see it and it's all activated. Interestingly, as well, with Decimator, apparently for a while, people weren't even sure if he was a Viper variant or a single character. So think, an Alley Viper versus Snake Eyes, just single versus a variant of a Viper. And apparently this went on for a whole bunch of time until a release, I think it was number 25 of America's Elite, where they had a threat matrix for Joe's, and Decimator was in there. And that sort of listed to the fact that he was a singular character. So, yeah, I thought that was all very cool. So, starting our lineup at number 15, we've got Zanzibar. To me, Zanzibar, he's just a pirate, right? So, when you think of operators in the wet or moist operators, this guy made the list for me. He came with his air skiff. It was just one weird one-seater thing, just skimming across the water. Does not look safe at all. I sort of have always weirdly noticed how, his legs are just so scrunched together on that thing. Like it's a very skinny vessel. It was definitely an example of, these cool small play sets that that Hasbro sort of released for GI Joe at the time. It wasn't a massive vehicle. It wasn't a massive play set. It was just this really nice mix between a play set and a vehicle that was small and didn't cost a lot. These aren't huge pieces, so the cost of this thing wouldn't have been very high, and therefore would have been a really cool play thing to have as a kid. So, as I said, this guy was a pirate themed guy, and this was sort of reflected in his accessories. So, he had his pistol, he had this Destructo hammer thing, and he had his trident. And the trident, it's a fascinating thing. Can't really think offhand of many other characters that came with a trident. Um, so yeah, actually, is it a trident or is it just a spear? What is it? No, it doesn't say. Yeah, let's just call it a trident, even though it does not have that. Um, but yeah, cool dude. And the figure itself had a really nice mold and really nice paint to it. Um, I mean, everyone knows he had his long black locks of hair. Um, and back in the day, soft goods on these characters was just magic. I'm still trying to complete this guy's skiff. I think I'm missing the spear, the trident, whatever. Um, and also his gun, I think. But I think I've got everything else. I've actually designed the spitty fan part of his skiff. So I made that work because I was missing that part. Because, those parts for the water moccasin, for this, for the whale, like they used to break really easily. So instead of trying to chase it down, I just designed one and printed it. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. So yeah, this guy come in at number 15. Number 14, Stalker V2. He was a 1989 release. This is actually the first Stalker that I had as a kid, and I think it's the only Stalker that I've ever bought. I still don't have any of the classified versions. I've only got this guy, and there's a reason for that as far as the 3.75-inch line goes. It's because it's the only Stalker I believe in. Um, I never had the straight arm version, the V1. Um, I got this as a kid, and to me, this was, I'd say, it could be in probably my top 20 best figures ever for the line for me. And why? This thing is cool as. Came with this, sorry, start again. It came on a card, on just a figure card. So when you look at the skiff coming with Zanzibar in a box, to me, that's a whole bunch different than this guy getting a whopping canoe mint on card. Like, it's amazing. I can't think of any other characters that filled the card up so much. It's very unique, and I'm still trying to hunt one of these down actually to this day, mint on card to add to my collection. Um, the accessories that came with this guy were just magic. So you got the canoe, you got the side bit that come out to the balancing part of the canoe. They were two different pieces. You then got his mask, which that was a bit of an odd thing, like an odd mold, but cool as. You got that weird knife. You got his machine gun. Um, and you got the machine gun, the heavy machine gun that sat on the front of that canoe. And also you got his paddle. Just very, very nice stuff. Like they could have effectively released this as a boxed playset if they wanted to. And I don't think anyone really would have sparked too much controversy with it. Um, it's just such a nice piece. The figure itself, the mold, it's great as well. The colors, just showing that he is, it's good old Stalker underneath, but he's put that jacket on, and now he's Tundra Ranger Stalker. So I've got a lot of time for this figure. I have this loose at the moment. And yeah, we'll see what happens in the future with trying to get this mint on card. That's number 14. Number 13, the Lamprey. Now, if it wasn't for the fact that this guy drives a vehicle, I'd probably actually have Lampreys right down closer to that number one spot. The file card states that they must have been a Cobra trooper that's then completed their eel training. They must have then acted in an eel role for at least a year and then done the course and beaten the 50% dropout rate to then get selected, just to even get selected to be a lamprey. I don't know if you guys know, but in military courses, just because you pass the training doesn't mean you can get selected. So it's interesting that you're reading about the 50% dropout rate, and you may still not get selected. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. I thought it was just like one hell of a selection process to become a pilot, but then it's probably the best waterborne vessel in the entire GI Joe line. And that's a big call, I know, but that thing is so cool. So unfortunately, it appears these guys, um, it's such a big vessel. I wouldn't see these guys going for swims all that much. So it's kind of a pity. A couple others in this list as well. They're in such cool waterborne vessels, but you don't really see them going for a swim all that often. So yeah, the Lamprey, 1985, beautiful, beautiful vessel. I've owned 4 of these in my time. They just take up room, but they are amazing. Only came with one accessory, the Lamprey, and that was it's the weird sort of machine gun that he comes with, which I think Leonard the Corps ripped off severely. But yeah, just a cool figure. Very happy. That was number 13. Number 12, the Secto Viper. Now, in terms of things, this is like the Lamprey. It's another pilot. But to me, if you look at the difference between a Secto Viper and a Lamprey, I'd be picking a Lamprey any day of the week. But that doesn't change things here. I'm sure there's people out there in terms of coolness that would easily tell you that the Bug is cooler than the Lamprey. I think those people should stop collecting GI Joe, but whatever, it's like the Hammerhead. The Bug is it's so weird. It's then flipped completely over and gone into cool area. I think if I found one of these in the wild, I probably would buy it. But I'd be super scared about how much someone would want for it. I would sneak a suspicion that people would be asking 150 to 200 Australian dollars for a complete Bug in the wild. But yeah, as far as the Secto Vipers go, I didn't think they were that cool. I think the vehicle sort of is the cool component here. The figure itself came with a clear helmet. So that helmet you can see on the Secto Viper there, you got that. And there weren't actually too many figures in the GI Joe line that just come with a clear helmet. I'm sort of thinking of Hawk, I want to say V2, like the rocket pack guy. He had a bit of a clear helmet as well. Yeah, I don't sort of know too many that come with that accessory. This dude also came with a very weird looking pistol. Get onto Yojo, check it out. I was a bit weirded out when I saw it, but yeah, that's what you got. You got the helmet and the pistol. Now, I sort of thought as well when you're reading this guy's file card, they made a really big deal that these guys are just trained to patrol areas of the beach. They're effectively lifeguards with a weird looking pistol and a weird looking vehicle that just patrol areas of the beach. So yeah, they are in the wet a lot, but yeah, not high on my list of things. But that bug, I think, makes up for a lot of the Secto Viper's downs. So that's number 12. Number 11, the Sea Slug. Now, this guy, another pilot, but this vehicle is very cool, I thought. I've sort of put him higher up on the list, mostly because when you go through the backstory on the file cards, um, these guys have to go through really rigorous training, and it reminded me a lot of the lampreys. But in the end, they're still more of a pilot. Um, Figure wise, I think they're cool. Like it's got that really nice purple that sort of came through in that era. We saw it on the Gyro Vipers. Saw it on a few other figures. Just that really nice coloring. He came with just a handgun. Wasn't anything special. It's a different mold. Um, I have I've owned a couple of them actually, gotten them in lots and thought, what the hell is that? And then you find out it's the Sea Slug's weapon. So they do stand out. I've actually bought a complete Sea Slug and Sea Ray from my mate Tony B, and that'll be delivered sometime soon. Whenever I've finished building the box with him, and I'm looking forward to getting that thing and putting it on display and actually having a bit of a fiddle with it. I've never had one of these Sea Rays before, but just the way that they pull apart just looks really cool to me. So yeah, that'd be really cool. And that's why I've got the Sea Slug at number 11. At number 10, I've got Copperhead. So this guy came with the water moccasin, another pilot, right? So if you're not seeing the bit of a pattern here, got a whole bunch of pilots that are in charge of water or wet vehicles. So the water moccasin and Copperhead, no change there. This guy came with no accessories as the V1 guy, but in a way, he didn't need anything. Like he had a very very cool water vehicle at his disposal, and his backstory is just really cool as well. From memory, like he's just after the money. I've seen him in a couple of the cartoon episodes, most recently the retelling that I did of um, Worlds Without End. Go check that out, an Aussie retelling. But yeah, I quite like him. I am weirdly still missing him from my collection. I actually have a water moccasin and no Copperhead. So that'll be on my list of figures to get real soon. Um, Before we move on to number 9, I just want to quickly take the opportunity to remind you all channel memberships with Frostbite's GI Joe Repro are available. Please go check it out. I do consider that I look after my channel members greatly. I sort of try to average around 2 videos a week. And you're mainly seeing all the mail calls that come into the house, everything that I want to put on the main channel, but the algorithm of YouTube is just so antsy. So try and focus on GI Joe mainly for the main part of my channel, and everything else, any other toys that I purchase, they all come in via the channel members area. So go and check that out. It's the cost of, I think it's $3 Australian or about $2 American a month. So for the cost of half a coffee, you'll get 2 to 3 videos a week, and I'm going to be starting to do some 3D printing soon, where I'm looking to offer free parts, one per month or something for the channel members, and we'll just see how that goes. Be announcing a really cool part very soon for my channel members. So if that sounds good to you, just go and check it out and be part of that promotion. Number 9, Crocmaster. Now this guy sort of, in terms of a figure, he was a very, very cool figure. In terms of a character, I've seen him in a couple of different sources of media, and he's always been cool. Cool in a really creepy version, but cool. I don't think he's, in everything I've seen, I don't really think that he's been ever misrepresented, never been treated, shitty by the creators. It always is very interesting, in my opinion. The figure itself came with a pet. You get Fiona. Fiona was cool. You get his whip. You get the little chain and the leash to go around Fiona. And you also get his hose that goes on the side of his head. I only got that recently, actually, like maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And yeah, it was excellent to find that in a weapons lot. And I just didn't have it, so now I do. So yeah, Crocmaster, that's my number 9. Okay, number 8, Muskrat. Now, this is a guy that's definitely grown on me over my years of collecting. I never had this figure as a kid. I've never had it as an adult. And then up until about a year ago, I didn't have it. And then I got the figure, and I've been hunting down the accessories over that year or so. So I've got his shoddy, I've got his little surfboard thing, and now I'm just missing that blue machete of his. I think he is, like, it's definitely growing on me. He is a bit of a cool character. I don't exactly know how he'd be using that little mini surfboard, but I do quite like it as an accessory. I think he's cool as, this guy's your swamp fighter. He's in there up against Crocmaster, and he's, very much in terms of what I would think a Vietnam fighter looks like. Just with his boonie hat, the machete, and the shoddy. It's very cool for me. He was a 1988 release. I'm super happy I've got him in the collection now. Still just got to find that machete, and then he'll be great. That's my number 8. Number 7, Shipwreck. Now, how could I not put this guy on the list somewhere? Literally a sailor. We see him in multiple cartoons where he's diving, swimming, frolicking, whatever in the water. His character is in essence water. But being a sailor, he's not primarily a diver or anything. He's a guy that should be on a ship, but we have seen instances of him in the water. So I didn't sort of have any problems with, chucking him on the moist operators list today. As a figure, this was one of the more expensive figures that I've bought in my time. I sort of bought it at the end of COVID. Um, it cost me, I think, about $100 or something. But I don't think that price has deviated too much downwards since, so that makes me happy. Um, he is a cool figure. So you get the bird, you get the anchor, the little piece of rope, and you get his, weird old pirate um, weapon. Super happy I've got him in the collection. He looks great. The colors on him are just so traditional. Very old school sailor. So yeah, this dude from 1985, I had no problems with chucking him onto the list today. I think the only issue that I ever have with this figure is Polly's bloody feet. You've got to be super careful. So I don't have Polly sitting on shipwreck in my collection. It's got him sitting on the ground, very careful. I do not want that plastic breaking after the years of survival. And I do not want to have to spend more money to fix it. So, yeah, excellent figure though. Next up at number 6, I've got Deep Six. So that worked out well, didn't it? I actually didn't notice that when I was making this list. This guy had multiple versions. Um, I want to say, they were all good, but to me, it was clear that some were better than others. Now, that V1, you can see it on the left there. I'm not overly a fan. It's the fan that came with the shark. Um, yeah, it's just so big and bulky, and it's not really a suit, it's a mold. So, yeah, I've got it in the collection, but I think I got it as part of a lot. I didn't specifically spend money to get this guy. Uh, that V2, though, which you can see in the middle, I'm quite the fan of that. Um, it's not one of my favorite figures, but in terms of Deep Six, it's a favorite. Um, the weapons, like the accessories that guy came with, were just really cool. His helmet was really cool. And the colors were just beautiful. So vibrant. If you get a nice minty version of Deep Six V2, you just have this like just vibrant looking figure on your hands. And I really like it. Now, this guy on the right, I want one and I want it mocked. Um, it was funny. I was putting this video together and I thought I'll grab a nice photo for the slide. And I thought to myself, did I have this figure as a kid? Because I seem to remember having that shark, or what is it, a killer whale or something, porpoise, some type of sea creature. I seem to remember having that thing as a kid, but I don't know where that figure has gone, and I don't remember. I'm just not sure about having the figure, so I don't know. Maybe like I traded that with another kid or something. I don't know, but he's like the bug, so weirdly good. It's gone into cool. And I'm really just a fan of the colors, like those hot pinks, the neon greens, like the beautiful neon blue see-through mask. It's all just perfect. Comes with a pet. Yeah, it's great. I'll definitely be tracking that down soon to try and buy one. Um, so yeah, we saw the first Deep Six in 1984, and after that, we got some nice ones. Let me know in the comments which one of Deep Six is your favorite, because I'm certainly very interested to hear. That's my number 6. Number 5, the eels. Um, these guys are your general use divers. So, we've hit this point of, we just had Deep Six, now we got the eels. We're definitely heading into that territory of the moistest of the moist operators. If you haven't guessed by now, I just wanted a video where I could say the word moist a lot, and it's working pretty well. I'm having a great time. These eels, they were all through GI Joe media history, cartoons, the comics, the toys, everything. They're such iconic pieces, such iconic army builders from the original toy line. The figure itself was excellent, and even in the classified version, excellent. Um, the original version came with your flippers and with a little spear gun, breather hose, and backpack, which weirdly, I didn't know until recently, the backpack was actually a two-parter. So I always, since I found that out, I've thought, that's actually pretty weird. There's not too many backpacks that are two-parters like that one is. Yeah, I think there's not actually too many other characters that are generic that are cool like this is. So, I can only really just offhand, because you have things like a Night Viper or an Alley Viper, and they're cool, but they're more awesome, whereas these things are just cool. Let me know in the comments how many of these things you've got in your collection. I think I've got maybe 2 or 3, but they're incomplete. They're just so hard to find, and you're going to pay through the nose to get them complete. But if you can get it for a good price, you've got to grab these things. So yeah, eels from 1985. That's at number 5 on my list. At number 4, I've got Torpedo. I actually had forgotten. I had to change my internet wall, like the NBN battery, the other day. So I had to pull everything out of my cabinets and move my cabinets. And I thought I didn't have this guy, but I actually do. So I was all ready to tell you about how I didn't have him in my collection, and then he's just sitting there. So, yeah, look, I know he's one of the originals. He just doesn't excite me too much. But in terms of being a moist operator, this guy is, towards the very top of the list. We've got him sitting at number 4. So there's only 3 above this guy that I think are more excellent at dealing with moist than this guy is. In terms of accessories, I believe he came with the flippers, his spear gun, and his backpack, which weirdly had like rockets on it, I believe. I do know that it was a painful backpack or accessory to have because the bloody thing, like I think I've got about 3 of them sitting in my spares collection that have tips broken off the missiles. So yeah, just a bit of a weird thing. But it's cool. He's still cool. He's a Navy SEAL into demolitions. So yeah, he's a cool character. And he was my number 4. Sitting at number 3. So here we are, the top 3. Sitting at number 3, I've got Wetsuit. This guy holds a special place in my heart. I had him as a kid, and let me tell you, this guy, he's a bit of a weird toy for me. He comes with so many accessories. So you get your little pull jet thing, you get your searchlight, you get his hoses that connect to his backpack, you get his flippers, you get the backpack. He's got all this stuff. None of it is offensive. He just doesn't. He's a SEAL who does underwater demolitions. He doesn't have any weapons, as far as I know. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but this guy did not come with any weapons. And not only did he not come with any weapons, he came in this really weird scheme of just being sort of a general diver. When you look at Torpedo, he was in a black suit. He kind of looked like he was ready to go and blow a ship up. This guy, he looks like he's on the Florida Keys having a fat time with his family. Mrs. Wetsuit, she's on the beach sucking down margaritas like it's no one's business. But this guy, he's on holidays. And I don't know why. I don't know why, apart from, GI Joe just being GI Joe and giving us different colors and suits and looks and stuff. Yeah, let me know in the comments if I've got that wrong. But it's just how I think of this guy. That's number 3, Wetsuit 1986, number 3. Sitting at number 2, I've got Undertow. Now this guy, he's a bit of a weird guy for me as well. In terms of the figure, he's cool. He's got some very good accessories. You're getting your little underwater jet speeder thing, got your flippers. The jet speeder thing fires a little torpedo off on it. He's got a real trident, not what I was calling a spear or something earlier. You get your mask, and the mold on him is really cool. But one of the things I really like, and would have heard me say it a lot of times before in videos, is I like a figure that comes with a pet. And this guy has a really good pet. Really weird pet, but a pet nonetheless. Can't remember if it's a pike or a barracuda, one of those two. But it's cool, it's different, it's weird. It's what you expect for Undertow. When you read the backstory of this guy, he is designed to operate in polluted water. They literally say in his file card that he will swim in anything. He doesn't care. So he's a bit of a murky, moist operator. Not weird at all. But yeah, in terms of things, this guy from 1990 is my number 2 pick. Which leaves, I'm sure you can probably guess it, our number 1 today from 1988 is the Hydro Viper. So these guys, the reason I mainly picked this, right, and I want to explain this the best I can. It's a cool looking figure. The mold is excellent, in my opinion. The accessories are excellent. The story is excellent. Everything lines up for this one guy. I could not be happier that I own one of these guys. So let's cover off on some stuff first. We'll drill down onto a couple of bits. These guys are known as the demons of the deep. They're specifically operating at your lower depths, which for me, if you're going to be a moist operator, your number 1 moist operator is getting right into that moist. And that's what we want from a number 1. You read their fold card, that it talks about these guys being eels first, and then they get surgically altered. So they're not just, this isn't Deep Six or Wetsuit or Torpedo. They're just going under a ship. These dudes are getting surgically altered so that they can withstand the depths. In terms of the figure with no accessories, just the mold itself. I mean, you can look at it and go, that's a really nice mold. What really gets me in the end is that one of the hands has the webbing. I love that for, just they added just such small detail just to add to that story of these things just being demons of the deep. And just giving it sort of that look that they have been altered and they're the perfect sort of underwater killing machine. The accessories on this guy are phenomenal, in my opinion. Start with the flippers. When you look at flippers on, say, an eel or wetsuit or torpedo, those things are standard flippers. When you look at the flippers on this guy, the flippers look like they are like they've just come off some kind of underwater beast. They've made it so that, they're like claws rather than flippers. And that's detail. Detail, baby. Yeah. So we've got a webbed hand. We've got flippers designed to look like claws. Next up, we look at his mask. And the mask is just amazing. I would put this down to being, like, I can't even think of a mask right now that's better than this. This shit's all over, like, night vipers and alley vipers, in my opinion. This, I'm going to say it's in the top 3 best masks in the GI Joe line. Only because I can't think of any that are better, but I want to be safe in my call. He then has such a beautifully detailed backpack. Go check that out if you haven't seen it or can't remember it. His knife is unique as hell. It's just amazing. I actually think I'm missing that for my character, for my Hydro Viper, the one I've got in my collection. But that thing is just beautiful. It's a perfect 10 for me for being a moist operator. Let me know in the comments if I got any of these wrong, or I might have missed one. I'm pretty sure I got all of the underwater operators, but yeah, let me know if I've missed any. Did I get them in the wrong order as far as you're concerned? Let me know. Apart from that, go and check out my other videos, check out channel membership, and just remember, till next video, stay frosty. Bye-bye.